can hold a line. I apologize.
And I'd give anything.
The reason Gerald LeVert and I never got.
You know him from his unforgettable hits like Casanova and Baby Hold On to Me. But Gerald LeVert's sudden death 18 years ago left fans and family in shock. Recently, his family has finally confirmed some of the rumors surrounding that day. So, what really happened? Let's dive into the details and uncover the truth behind his passing.
Even though I probably had a more blessed upbringing because of my father's success, you know, of being an OJ and having a...
Gerald grew up in Shaker Heights, Cleveland, with music all around him. His dad, Eddie LEVERT, was the lead singer of the OJs, one of the biggest names in R&B. While Eddie was often away touring, Gerald's mom, Martha, held down the fort, raising him and his brother, Sean. Even though his dad wasn't home much, he made sure to teach his boys discipline, a lesson that stuck with Gerald. With legendary music always playing at home, it was clear Gerald was destined for the industry. He and Sean sang at church and school, turning heads with their talent. By their teens, they were all in on music, hitting recording studios and concerts with their dad, soaking up everything from how songs were made to how pros owned the stage.
Ain't nothing I won't do for you. And baby,
Gerald was also inspired by icons like Marvin Gaye and Stevie Wonder, who showed him how to mix emotion and R&B. But he wasn't about living in his dad's shadow. He wanted his own lane, writing songs and testing new sounds to carve out his place. His mom, Martha, was always there, keeping him grounded as he chased his dream.
And for me to keep talking about the same thing, Casanova and thinking about it, I love you, and baby, I love you, and baby, hold on to me, and baby, I'm ready to give you a same old story.
Gerald had his sights set on something bigger, going solo. He wanted to dig deeper into his own feelings and get more creative. So he dropped his first solo album, Private Line, and it was a smash. The project launched his solo career to a whole new level.
I want to touch other parts of people's hearts, man. You know, it's deeper than just...
One of the standout tracks was Baby Hold On to Me, a duet with his dad, Eddie LEVERT. This wasn't just a hit, it was a moment. The song climbed to the top of the R&B charts and gave fans a glimpse of the father-son bond. Their voices together made it a total heart-melter, and it quickly became a fan favorite. Gerald's debut album was packed with love songs and emotional tracks, setting the tone for his signature style. By the time his second album, Groove On, dropped, Gerald proved he wasn't just a one-hit wonder. This 1994 album brought a mix of slow, soulful ballads and catchy upbeat tracks. I'd Give Anything was a standout, showing off Gerald's powerhouse vocals and knack for raw emotion. The album blended fresh R&B sounds with old-school soul, winning over listeners across generations. Fast forward to 1998, Gerald dropped Love and Consequences, and it showed just how much he'd grown as an artist. The album went deep, with tracks about love, heartbreak, and taking responsibility. Thinking 'Bout It was a major hit, snagging the #1 spot on the R&B charts. Gerald had really locked in his style by then. Smooth, soulful tracks paired with lyrics that hit you right in the feels. He kept the momentum going with G in 1999, serving up hits like Taking Everything, a breakup anthem that resonated with fans. Then in 2002, he followed it up with the G Spot, keeping his streak of success alive and proving he was a force in the music world. Interestingly, he had a great love story with another famous person.
My mom and dad were like, oh, you can't go out with a musician. You know, they just weren't into the music situation.
Gerald's love life had its fair share of drama and heart. One of his most talked about relationships was with actress and comedian Kym Whitley. They grew up in the same neighborhood, started as friends, and eventually dated. But things got tricky when Kym moved to Hollywood to chase her dreams. The distance pulled them apart romantically, but they stayed tight as friends. Kym opened up about their story and didn't hold back. She called Gerald her first real love, describing him as a smooth-talking Casanova who totally swept her off her feet. They'd been close since they were kids, went to the same high school, and had a bond that even the ups and downs couldn't break. But Kim's parents weren't fans of her dating a musician. They didn't think a life in music matched their vision for her. Meanwhile, Gerald's world was all about music, which created a bit of tension. Still, Kim didn't let their disapproval stop her from staying close to Gerald.
Because when we were younger, Gerald told me one thing, and he said, you can go out to Hollywood and you can pursue your career, but if you want to be with me, I'm gonna let you know, there can only be one star in this family.
One thing that stuck with Kim was Gerald's seriousness about their future. She shared how he once told her, you can go to Hollywood and do your thing, but if you're with me, there can only be one star in the family. That put her at a crossroads, her dreams or her relationship. Although they never made it down the aisle, Kim said they had a pact. If they both hit 50 and were still single, they'd get married. Sadly, Gerald's passing meant they never got that chance, but Kim made it clear they were soulmates in every way.
The reason Gerald LEVERT and I never got married is because he died. He died, and that's what he did. He left me here to fend for myself and deal with this life alone.
There were other bumps, too, like Gerald dating other women. Kim admitted it stung sometimes, but she refused to let jealousy ruin their connection. She accepted they had separate lives, even if it wasn't easy. One standout moment? When Monique, the actress and comedian, came to Kim before dating Gerald to ask for her blessing. Kim was floored by how mature and respectful Monique was, though she did question if saying yes was the right call. Even though their story didn't have the fairy tale ending Kim hoped for, she treasures the memories of their time together. Losing Gerald broke her heart, but the love they shared is something she'll never forget.
You said your dad passed away when you were 16. I'm so sorry about that, but how did his passing impact you?
Devastating. That was my best friend, so
Yeah.
that was my guy.
Losing Gerald hit like a ton of bricks. At first, everyone thought it was a heart attack, but later on, the truth came out. It turned out to be an accidental overdose from a mix of prescriptions and over-the-counter stuff you'd find at any pharmacy. Gerald was dealing with some serious pain for a long time. Between a messed-up shoulder and surgery for a torn Achilles, he was on a cocktail of painkillers like Vicodin and Percocet. Add Xanax for anxiety and some allergy meds into the mix, and it was just too much for his body to handle. The report also found he had pneumonia, which only made everything worse. All those meds together caused his body to shut down. It was ruled an accidental overdose, something no one saw coming. Gerald's family opened up about how much he had been battling constant pain for years. Dealing with injuries and recovery wasn't easy, and the meds were supposed to help him get through it. But mixing all those prescriptions, even though they were legit, ended up being way more dangerous than anyone expected. Losing Gerald hit hard, not just for his family and friends, but for fans who absolutely loved him. His impact on music is something that'll never fade, and his story is a tough reminder of how tricky it can be to navigate pain and medication. But imagine how it must have felt to the family, though.
It was a weird day, honestly, because everybody knew before me.
Really?
Yeah. It was on BT, and I woke up late, and there was no school that day for some reason, and the phone just kept ringing, and I didn't know what was going on. And
After Gerald passed, his dad, Eddie, was crushed. Losing Gerald to an accidental overdose was already a huge blow. But just 14 months later, Eddie faced another gut punch. His other son, Sean, passed away while in police custody after going through Xanax withdrawal. This was a devastating time for Eddie and his ex-wife, Martha, who had to process losing both sons so suddenly. Sean's death came after he was locked up for not paying child support. While in jail, Sean suffered a medical emergency and was rushed to the hospital, where he was later pronounced dead. An autopsy didn't point to anything suspicious, though the cause of death was still unclear. Sadly, his passing hit his family hard, especially since it came not so long after Gerald's own death. When Gerald was in his late teens, he and Sean and childhood friend Mark Gordon created the group LEVERT. This was his first major move in the music world. They knew they had a lot to live up to. They had the weight of his famous father's legacy on their shoulders. That must have fostered some sense of camaraderie a little deeper than your average brothers. Years later, Eddie opened up about how he's been coping. He admitted that he still struggles to understand why they're gone, saying, "If it wasn't supposed to be, it wouldn't have happened." He tries not to get stuck on it, though, focusing on the fact that it happened and he can't change it. Eddie's faith has been a major source of strength for him, with the Bible, particularly the book of Job, helping him get through. He still has his life and believes his faith is giving him the strength to keep going. Music has also been a comfort. Eddie and his sons shared a love for it, and he cherishes the memories of performing together. He remembers hitting the stage with Gerald and Sean, performing classics like Casanova and Baby Hold On to Me, which still bring him peace. Even today, when he performs those songs on his own, it helps him heal and forget the pain, if only for a moment. Eddie's open about the regret he feels as a dad. He blamed himself for things he could have done to protect his sons, wishing he'd shielded them from the tough parts of his career and life. He admits he made mistakes and even calls himself a rotten man for not always being the dad he wanted to be. But through all the pain, Eddie's learned hard life lessons. Though he wishes things could have been different, he's honoring his son's memories and pushing forward, carrying the wisdom he's gained from his struggles. Even after his death, Gerald's impact was undeniable. His final album, In My Songs, dropped in 2007 and won a Grammy for Best Traditional R&B Vocal Performance. It was a moving tribute to his legacy, filled with the kind of emotional depth and raw talent that made him a standout artist. His music still lives on, reminding fans why he was so unforgettable.